Anu Joseph, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Computer Applications, Jyoti College of Management and Technology. Extend a warm welcome to all of you to the Faculty Development Program on Machine Learning using Python, organized by PG Department of Computer Applications in association with IQAC. Let's begin the formal session by invoking the blessings of the Lord Almighty. For the same, I invite Ms. Sunitha Rajagopal, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Applications.
ദൈവമേ നിന്റെ ദിവ്യകാരുണ്യം നിത്യവും ഞങ്ങൾ കരുളേണം. ഇന്നെന്നും നിന്റെ പുണ്യനാമങ്ങൾ പാടുവാൻ നാദം നൽകണം. ദൈവമേ നിന്റെ ദിവ്യകാരുണ്യം നിത്യവും ഞങ്ങൾ കരുളേണം. ഇന്നെന്നും നിന്റെ പുണ്യനാമങ്ങൾ പാടുവാൻ നാദം നൽകണം. ഇരുളിൽ ദീപമായി തെളിയണം, എന്നും തുണയായി നീ കൂടെ പോരണം. പാഠമിന്നും എളുപ്പമാകണം, ശീലങ്ങൾ നല്ലതാകണം. ദൈവമേ നിന്റെ ദിവ്യകാരുണ്യം നിത്യവും ഞങ്ങൾ കരുളേണം. ഇന്നെന്നും നിന്റെ പുണ്യനാമങ്ങൾ പാടുവാൻ നാദം നൽകണം.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to call upon Ms. Abhi Roswagi, Associate Professor, for the welcome speech.
Good afternoon, all. Welcome to the FTP on Machine Learning using Python programming, organized by Department of Computer Application, Kristu College of Management and Technology in association with IQAC. Myself, Abhi Roswagi, Assistant Professor, Kristu College of Management and Technology. Now, my duty is to welcome you all to this FTP. Reverend Father Joshi Chiranguri CMI, Principal, Kristu College of Management and Technology, is a person who played a key role in the development and still working hard for the betterment of our college. With immense pleasure, I cordially welcome dear Father. I would like to welcome a personality who always motivates the students towards excellence. Here we have such an eminent personality, our Vice Principal, Dr. Varghese Anthony sir. I cordially welcome you, sir. Today's resource persons are Dr. Shailesh Shivan, Mr. Santosh Kumar KP, and Mr. Jasir KT. Dr. Shailesh Shivan has secured his PhD in Computer Science from Cochin University of Science and Technology, MSc Mathematics from Madras University, MTech in Computer and Information Science from CUSAT, BTech in Computer Science and Engineering from Kerala University. He has qualified UGC NET, GRF, GATE exams several times. He is currently working as an assistant professor at Department of Computer Science, Cochin University of Science and Technology. Welcome you, sir. Mr. Santosh Kumar KP, pursuing his PhD in Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology, ME in Computer Science and Engineering from PSN Engineering College, BTech in Computer Science and Engineering from College of Engineering, Kottarakara. Currently working as assistant professor in Sacred Heart College, Devara. Welcome you, sir. Mr. Jasir KT, pursuing PhD in Computer Science and Application from Cochin University of Science and Technology. Clear UGC NET, completed MS MCA from University of Calicut and BSc Polymer Chemistry from University of Calicut. I welcome you, sir. It's my pleasure to welcome the able leadership, Mr. Roji Thomas, the HOD of Computer Application. Welcome you, sir. I welcome Ms. Binny S., Coordinator, Research Hub, who is the driving force behind this FTP. I welcome all our dear participants to this session. Once again, I welcome you all to this event. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. With great honor and respect, may I invite the Vice Principal of the college, Dr. Varghese Antony, for the inaugural address.
Respected Professor Roji Thomas, Head of the Department of Computer Science, Jyoti College of Management and Technology, the resource persons of this program, Dr. Shailesh Shivan, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Cochin University of Science and Technology, Dr. Jefsin Katie, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Cochin University of Science and Technology, Dr. Sandesh Kumar Katie, Assistant Professor, SS College, Devara. Winnie is the coordinator of this FDB program, other faculty members, students, and my dear participants. Good afternoon to one and all. While we are thinking about the education process that are going on all around the world, there is a famous quotation by Rabindranath Tagore. According to Tagore, the highest education is that which does not merely give us information, but makes our life in harmony with all existence. So through the process of education, we are making harmony with all the existence that are being present in the world. We know that information technology is developing day by day. Today's invention may become out of date on tomorrow. Therefore, it is necessary to be acquainted with all the developments, all the changes that are being happening in the field of information and technology. The new generation, our youngsters, our students, may be more familiar with the changes that are being happening in the field of information technology than we teachers. Therefore, in order to impart very good knowledge that should be absorbed by our students, it becomes necessary to become familiar with the fast running changes that are being happening in the field of information technology. Therefore, to acquaint the faculty members with the changes that are being happening in the field of information technology, we are conducting this type of a 1-week FTP program on machine learning for the faculty members of the various universities as well as our students. So I have great pleasure to attend this type of a program organized by the Department of Computer Science of Kristu College of Management and Technology for acquainting the teachers with the various changes that are being happening in the field of information technology. To meet the ever-demanding needs of knowledge industry, FDP have always been an effective tool to enhance teaching and research capabilities of educators, aiming at developing competences in recent advances in information technology. The Department of Computer Science of Kristu College of Management and Technology is organizing 1-week faculty development program on machine learning. This technical 1-week FTP program is aimed at as a research frontier in machine learning. So the department has earlier organized various programs. The various sessions that will be organized by the department will be fruitful for the growing in the field of technology. So with the permission of all those who are being present here, I am happy to announce that the 1-week FDP program organized by the Department of Computer Science of Kristu College of Management and Technology is inaugurated. I wish all success to the programs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for gracing the occasion with your words. It is my extreme pleasure to invite Dr. Shailesh Shivan, Assistant Professor, DCS CUSAT, to deliver the session. Let us give full attention to the seminar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Let me share my screen. The screen visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
So, today we are starting our FTP on machine learning using Python, and it's my gratitude. I would like to express my gratitude to the organizing committee of this FTP, especially Binima, and the schedule for the entire FTP is organized in such a way that first we are moving to familiarizing with the Python programming language, then very relevant aspects of machine learning. Then we are moving to the implementations of machine learning techniques. Then finally we are ending up with artificial neural network and its implementations. Okay, so after the FTP, the takeaway for you all is the basic concepts of machine learning as well as how we can implement that machine learning concepts with the available packages in Python programming language. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about Python programming, the basic aspects of Python programming. Before that, you should first thoroughly understand the basic concepts of machine learning. Okay, so the first 1 hour we are going to discuss about the aspects of machine learning. Okay, so we can start with removing the confusion between the data science, big data, artificial intelligence, and all. Okay, you may all heard about these buzzwords, right? Nowadays in industry as well as in every social media, you are getting advertisements on study artificial intelligence, study machine learning, study data science, study big data. So many advertisements are uh, getting into a different platforms, right? So the basic confusion among these buzzwords is nobody is actually thoroughly understanding what is machine learning, what is artificial intelligence, what is data science, what is big data, what are the connections between this domain, how they are differentiated. Okay, so before starting with the machine learning, first you should thoroughly understand how these domains are connected and how they are differentiated. Okay, so be responsive. If I ask some questions, you can actually unmute and uh, respond. Okay, if it is in as it is an online mode, your interactions will be more interesting. Okay, so the first question I would like to ask is a computer dumb device or not? Can anyone respond? Is a computer dumb device or not? And what are the peculiarities of a computer? Someone? You're all teachers, so please. Please, someone respond. Is computer a dumb device or not? What do you think?
So, computer is not, we cannot fully call as a dumb device, but it's a programmed by human being. Then it becomes, when the program is using.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, actually, it can work according to the instructions of a human, right? So we can say it is a kind of dumb device, but everywhere we are using computers, right? So even if it is a dumb device, we are using computers everywhere. So what makes computer different from other things? The accuracy in the processing and the speed in processing are the peculiarities of a computer. So just think about, along with this accuracy and the speed kind of properties, if we can do some kind of, or if we can implement some kind of intelligence to computers, that will be very fascinating, right? Along with the properties of properties like this speed, accuracy, versatility. If you can impart some kind of knowledge or impart some kind of intelligence to computers, that will be great, right? So artificial intelligence is a branch in computer science that makes computers more intelligent. Okay, computers intelligent. Okay, so just artificial intelligence is a branch in computer science that makes computers or a system intelligent. Okay, so that is why you can see the upper domain as artificial intelligence. Okay, and within artificial intelligence, you can see several subdomains like machine learning, speech, computer vision, natural language processing, expert system, planning and optimization, robotics. These are all different ways of making intelligence to a system. As in our case, how can we create intelligence? How a human is actually creating intelligence? Human can create intelligence through observation, through listening, through reading, through experience, right? In similar way, in artificial intelligence also, we have different ways of creating intelligence to a system. So machine learning is one such technique in artificial intelligence. Okay, one such technique in artificial intelligence relies upon a particular uh, technique called learn from experience. Okay, relies upon a particular strategy called learn from experience. എക്സ്പീരിയൻസിലൂടെ നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുക ഇന്റലിജൻസ് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയെടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ മീൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Okay, and within machine learning, we can see there are several types of algorithms like artificial neural networks, decision trees, logistic regression, linear regression, support vector emission. There are several types of algorithms exist, and one such type of algorithm is actually called as artificial neural networks. Okay, that is, we are performing machine learning in such a way that how our brain is learning something. That is why we are calling it as a artificial neural network. And in artificial neural network itself, we have several configurations. See, as you can see in the right side, you can have different configurations of artificial neural network. Okay, and one such configuration is actually called as deep neural networks. Okay, deep neural networks. And if you're performing machine learning with deep neural network, then it is a deep learning technique or a deep learning task. Okay, so now just see this Venn diagram. You can see we have artificial intelligence, nothing but it's a branch in computer science that makes intelligence to a system. And the next one is, this is a subdomain of artificial intelligence, which is called as machine learning. It's a one way of making intelligence to a system, and it relies upon the strategy learn from experience. And within machine learning, we have several algorithms. One such algorithm is called as artificial neural network, and one model of artificial neural network is actually called as deep neural networks. And if you're performing machine learning with deep neural networks, it is called as deep learning. Is that clear for you, that part? What is artificial intelligence, how machine learning is included in that, and what is neural networks? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now we can move to the another super domain, which is called as data science. As the name suggests, it's a science dealing with data. Okay, so before getting into the aspects of data science, we need to understand why we need a science or a branch in science that deals with data. Is data is as much important like other domains like physics, chemistry, and all. Okay. Do you know what is the commodity that controlled the entire world economy 10 years back? Any idea? What commodity actually controls the world economy? Which is the product? Any guess? It is actually the petroleum products. Okay. But in our current scenario, in our recent 2010 onwards, the scenario changed. Okay. The commodity that controls the world economy is actually data, not petroleum. It is actually the data. That is why we are telling the statement data is the new oil. Okay, data is the new oil, because when you look into the top fortune companies which makes a big revenue, they are all dealing with data. Okay, if I ask you some companies that makes a big revenue in their market, is definitely the answers will be the Google, Netflix, Amazon, right? And what is the product they are selling, or what is the product they are, or what is the raw material they are dealing with? It's absolutely data. Okay, like in the case of Facebook also, just think about, are you paying anything to Facebook or any Meta product? Facebook is newly named as Meta, and we are using different applications of Meta like Facebook, like Instagram. Okay, so we are using WhatsApp. These are all controlled by Meta, and we are not paying a single penny for using these kind of applications. We are not paying any amount to use Facebook. We are not paying any amount to use Instagram. We are not paying any amount to use WhatsApp, right? Still, how can they generate this much revenue? And that revenue will be like all over the world, around 30,000 employees are working for Meta. Okay, 30,000 employees. And a junior employee, okay, or the starting level employee is getting around 30 lakhs per year. Okay, 30 lakhs per year, around 3 lakhs per month. Okay, so how much amount they need to give the salary itself for 30,000 employees, by assuming that all these employees are at the entry level? How much amount they need? 3 lakh into 30,000, right? It's around 90 lakhs. Okay, so how can they generate 90,000 lakhs? Okay, so how can they generate this much revenue from their business, even if the users are not paying anything to the company? Okay, that is why the data is very important, because they are all the same. Facebook is actually dealing with data. So you may encounter a situation like നിങ്ങളിപ്പോ ഒരു ആമസോണിലോ ഫ്ലിപ്കാർട്ടിലോ ഒരു സാധനം സെർച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഒരു കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി സെർച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നു, and after that when you log in into Instagram or Facebook, അതിന്റെ വാൾസിൽ അഡ്വർടൈസ്മെന്റ് ആയിട്ട് ആ പ്രോഡക്ട്സിന്റെ ആഡ് വരും അല്ലെ. അപ്പൊ അവിടെ ശരിക്കും സംഭവിക്കുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, the Amazon and the Flipkart kind of applications are giving your search history to Facebook, then they are adding huge amount of money to Facebook, and Facebook is then advertising that to the users. Okay, so in this way they are generating this much revenue. Okay, so the commodity, the underlying commodity they are dealing with is our data. Okay, so if data is as much important, then a science that deals with data is very much important. Okay, so as the name suggests, data science. Okay, a science that deals with data, and this data science covers a large pipeline of processes. Okay, a large pipeline of processes, starting from collecting the data, storing the data, cleaning the data, processing the data, analyzing the data, modeling the data, mining the data, deploying the data for applications, and monitoring the data. Okay. So the entire data science pipeline deals with so many kind of phases. Okay. So at each of these phases, we need people with different skill sets. People with different skill sets. In the first phases, like collecting the data and storing the data, we need people who are expert in data engineering. Okay, and after that, we for cleaning the data and pre-processing the data, we need good software engineers. And in the case of modeling, analysis, and mining, we need people with good mathematical, statistical, and computational skills. And in the case of deployment and all, we need again software engineers and DevOps people. And in the monitoring data cases, we need people who are flexible with tech supports. Okay, so to realize an entire data science pipeline, we need people with different skill sets. Okay, so when you look into the different data science pipeline, the most fascinating or the most important phase is data modeling and analysis. Okay, data modeling and analysis. In the data modeling phase, we do different types of modeling, like mining, analysis kind of stuff. And and the most important and the most relevant step in data modeling is data analytics. Okay, so when you look into the data analytics part, we have 4 different types of analysis, like descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. Okay, so descriptive analytics look into the data for explaining what happened. With the data, we are trying to find out what happened or what event occurred. Okay, ഇപ്പൊ നമുക്കൊരു ഡേറ്റ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എന്താണ് സംഭവിച്ചതെന്ന് ആ ഡേറ്റയിൽ നിന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്റ്റീവ് അനലിറ്റിക്സ് എന്ന് പറയാം. And when it comes to diagnostic analytics, it is trying to explain why it happened. നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്റ്റീവ് വെച്ചിട്ട് എന്ത് മനസ്സിലാക്കി, ഒരു ഇവന്റ് നടന്നു എന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കി. Then നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഡയഗ്നോസ്റ്റിക് അനലിറ്റിക്സ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ട് അതിന്റെ റീസൺ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. That is explains why it happened. Okay, and in the next step we have predictive analytics that is having more value, like we are trying to forecast what might happen in the future. ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ഡേറ്റ വെച്ചിട്ട് ഫ്യൂച്ചറിൽ എന്ത് സംഭവിക്കാം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് predictive analytics ചെയ്യുക. And in the case of prescriptive analytics, it recommends an action based on the forecast. Okay, നമ്മൾ ഈ predictive analytics വെച്ച് കണ്ടുപിടിച്ച ഒരു കാര്യം, ഓക്കെ, ഫ്യൂച്ചറിൽ നടക്കാൻ പോകുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫോർകാസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യത്തിന് നമുക്ക് റെക്കമെൻഡേഷൻസ് എങ്ങനെ കൊടുക്കാം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് പ്രിസ്ക്രിപ്റ്റീവ് അനലിറ്റിക്സിൽ നമ്മൾ നോക്കുന്നത്. സോ if you are looking into the skill set needed for each of this analytics tab, descriptive analytics എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമുക്ക് ശരിക്കും സ്റ്റാറ്റിസ്റ്റീഷ്യൻസ് ആൻഡ് മാത്തമാറ്റീഷ്യൻസിന് അവരുടെ സൊഫിസ്റ്റിക്കേറ്റഡ് ടൂൾസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള എക്സൽ, SPSS, SAS പോലുള്ള ടൂൾസ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ട് ചെയ്യാവുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്റ്റീവ് അനലിറ്റിക്സ് എന്ന് പറയാം. And when it comes to diagnostic analytics, also they can make use of some other software applications to find out why it happened. But in the case of predictive and prescriptive analytics, ഈ mere software tools ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ട് നമുക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല, ഈ predictive and prescriptive analytics നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് പറ്റില്ല. സോ അവിടെയാണ് നമ്മളുടെ ML, AI പോലുള്ള ഡൊമൈൻസിന്റെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് എവിടെ വരുന്നത്, ഈ ഡേറ്റാ സയൻസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഏരിയയിലേക്ക് വരുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഇൻ ദ കേസ് ഓഫ് predictive and prescriptive analytics, we have to incorporate the techniques from AI ML to data science to effectively analyze the data to find out the future forecast as well as giving recommendations. Okay, that is why you can see an intersection between this data science and artificial intelligence. Okay, and the last super domain is actually the big data, because these three domains are the most confusing domains, like artificial intelligence one, the data science is the other one, and the big data is the other one. Okay. So finally, we can discuss about this big data. So big data, as the name suggests, big data. Okay. Now the question is like, is big data equal to large data? Large data, the answer is the large data can be big data, but big data is having some other aspects also. Okay. So before discussing about the properties of big data, just think about why this big data is much important. Okay. So when you look into different IT enabled facilities around us, like network and monitoring technologies, data warehouse, activity generated data, social influencers, social network, legacy documents, media, cloud, web, IoTs, databases. These are all our, these are all become the part of our life, right? So when you collect the data from all these sources, okay, all these sources, you can see that the amount and the other properties possessed by these data is entirely different from the traditional data and the computational techniques. Okay, so if you are in our current scenario, if we are using all these technologies, then big data is one of the major important area. Okay. So apart from the volume is nothing but the amount of data need to be processed. Okay, നമുക്ക് എത്രത്തോളം data process ചെയ്യാനുണ്ട്, അതാണ് first property എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So അതിനൊരു simple example ആണ്. See, if you are considering if airline industry മാത്രം കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യൂ. അപ്പൊ അതിനകത്ത് നമുക്കൊരു ട്വിൻ എഞ്ചിൻ ഉള്ള ഒരു ഫ്ലൈറ്റ് നമ്മൾ കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യുന്നു എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കാം. ഓക്കെ, ആൻഡ് ഫ്രം എ സിംഗിൾ എഞ്ചിൻ, okay, it will be around 20 terabytes of data is generating per hour. Okay, 20 terabyte of data is generating per hour. So from two engines, it will be around 20 into 2, that is 40 terabytes. And this 40 terabytes is for a single aeroplane for a single hour. And on an average, an aeroplane will fly for 6 hours. So the total quantity will be 20 into 2 into 6. Okay. Again, if you are considering all the airlines flying across our globe, it will be around 28,537. So the total data generated by all the airlines flying for 6 hours, it will be like 20 into 2 into 6 into 28,537. And if you are considering this for 365 days, it will be around 249981841200 terabytes. Okay. So what is the capacity of our RAM? It's only 16 GB, maximum of 32 GB, right? So just think of how can we process, or how can we effectively store this much amount of data and process them with our traditional computing system. The traditional computer system has is so much limitations, right? So the big data provides us facilities for accommodating this much amount of huge data, as well as computational techniques to effectively process this. Okay, so that is the concept of volume. And the case of velocity, velocity is nothing but it is the amount of data need to be processed at a particular moment. As a whole, the volume will not be an issue, but in a particular moment, how much data we need to process. That is the concept of velocity. See, നമ്മളിപ്പോ ഒരു സിമ്പിൾ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു കോളേജിൽ മോണിറ്ററിംഗിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട്, ഓക്കെ, സർവൈലൻസിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് നമ്മളൊരു 100 ക്യാമറാസ് അവിടെ ഡിപ്ലോയ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുക, സർവൈലൻസ് ക്യാമറാസ്. അപ്പൊ ഈ ക്യാമറയിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരു ക്യാമറയിൽ നിന്നും ഏകദേശം 20 frames ഓഫ് ഇമേജസ് ആണ് അറ്റ് എ മൊമെന്റ്, ഒരു സെക്കൻഡിൽ ക്യാപ്ചർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. സോ ഫ്രം 100 ക്യാമറാസ് ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി അറൌണ്ട് 2000 ഇമേജസ്, റൈറ്റ്? ഈ 2000 ഇമേജസിനെ നമുക്ക് ഒരു സെക്കൻഡിൽ പ്രോസസ് ചെയ്ത് അവിടെ നടക്കുന്ന ഒരു അനോമലി ഡിറ്റക്ട് ചെയ്യാന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി വെരി ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട്, റൈറ്റ്? സോ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ 2000 ഇമേജസ് ഇസ് നോട്ട് എ ബിഗ് വോളിയം, ബട്ട് ഒരു മൊമെന്റിൽ ഇത്രയും എമൗണ്ട് ഓഫ് ഡേറ്റ പ്രോസസ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴാണ് നമുക്ക് ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ടി വരുന്നത്. സോ ഇൻ ദാറ്റ് കേസസ് ഓൾസോ big data provides several architectures and algorithms to handle the velocity. And the variety means the different type of data. നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ നോക്കിയാൽ മനസ്സിലാവും, നമ്മൾ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻസും ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഡേറ്റ മാത്രം വെച്ചിട്ട് ഡീൽ ചെയ്യുന്ന ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻസ് അല്ലെ. ഇപ്പൊ കാൽക്കുലേറ്റർ എടുത്താൽ നമ്പേഴ്സ് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, വേർഡ് എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ടെക്സ്റ്റൽ ഇൻഫർമേഷൻസ് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, എക്സൽ എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാലും ന്യൂമറിക്കൽ കാൽക്കുലേഷൻസ് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ അല്ലെ. അപ്പൊ അതുപോലെ ഉള്ള സിറ്റുവേഷൻസിൽ നമുക്ക് പ്രശ്നമില്ല. പക്ഷേ ഞാനിപ്പോ പറയാം, രണ്ട് ആൾക്കാർ, ഓക്കെ, അവരുടെ വാട്സപ്പ് ചാറ്റിന്റെ ഹിസ്റ്ററി എടുത്തിട്ട് വെദർ ദേ ആർ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് ഓർ എനിമീസ് എന്ന് നമുക്ക് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കണം. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങളൊന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കുക, ഏതൊക്കെ തരത്തിലുള്ള ഡേറ്റ നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും, ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും എന്ന് ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കിയാൽ നമുക്ക് ടെക്സ്റ്റ് മെസ്സേജസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും, വോയിസ് നോട്ട്സ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും, സ്റ്റിക്കേഴ്സ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും, എമോജീസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും അല്ലെ. അതുപോലെ ഡോക്യുമെന്റ്സ് നോക്കേണ്ടി വരും, വീഡിയോസ് നോക്കേണ്ടി വരും, ഇമേജസ് നോക്കേണ്ടി വരും. അങ്ങനെ പലതരത്തിലുള്ള ഡേറ്റയുടെ ഒരു മിക്സ് ആണ് ശരിക്കും വാട്സപ്പ് ചാറ്റ് ഹിസ്റ്ററി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അല്ലെ. സോ അവിടെ നമുക്ക് ആ വെറൈറ്റി ഓഫ് ഡേറ്റയെ പ്രോസസ് ചെയ്ത് അതിനകത്തുനിന്ന് ഒരു കൺക്ലൂഷൻ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുക എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ വെരി ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ടാസ്ക് ആൻഡ് ബിഗ് ഡേറ്റ ഹാവ് പ്രൊവിഷൻസ് ടു ഡു സോ. ഓക്കെ, and the last one is the veracity. Veracity is nothing but it is the concept of uncertainty or the unreliability in the data, okay, or the incompleteness of the data. So നമുക്കിപ്പോ ഒന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കിയാൽ മനസ്സിലാവും, സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയ എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ can we rely upon social media? Is it possible to rely upon social media to make a decision on what happening? പറ്റുമോ? നമുക്ക് സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയ ഡേറ്റയ്ക്ക് അതൊക്കെ പെട്ടെന്ന് റൂമേഴ്സ് പ്രൊപ്പഗേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാനും ഒക്കെ പറ്റുന്നതാണ് അല്ലെ. സോ ദ അൺസർട്ടനിറ്റി ഇൻ ദ ഡേറ്റ ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി കോൾഡ് ആസ് വെറാസിറ്റി. അപ്പൊ അതിനെ ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യാനും നമുക്ക് ബിഗ് ഡേറ്റയില് പ്രൊവിഷൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, ആൻഡ് അപ്പാർട്ട് ഫ്രം ദിസ് സോ മെനി അതർ ടെക്നിക്സ് ആർ there. So many other properties are there, like other V's are there. Now we have discussed only 4 V's. I think around 9 V's are nowadays established for big data, but these 4 are the very important. Okay, and when it comes to the big data, as you can see in the data science pipe in the Venn diagram, the data science, the techniques from the data science as well as the techniques from the artificial intelligence are adopted in big data for effectively analyzing the data as well as for providing big computational techniques. Okay, so this is how this data science, artificial intelligence and big data concepts are connected and differentiated. So people who are good at algorithmic domain can choose artificial intelligence. Those who are inclined with maths and statistics can actually choose data science if they are well in computers also. And if you are more handy with the infrastructure kind of stuff as well as in data maths and statistics as well as in computational domain, then definitely one can choose big data domain. Okay, so hope that concept is clear for you. Is there any doubts regarding that? Is the concept clear?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Now we can move to our core area, which is called as machine learning. So as per the Herbert-Simon's definition, learning is any process by which a system improves performance from experience. Okay, learning is any process by which a system improves performance from experience. Experience lure a system and the performance improve cheya ennalana learning kondu udheshikkunnathu. Okay, and particularly in the case of machine learning, the definition is like machine learning is the study of algorithms that improve their performance P at some task T with experience E. Okay. And it can be considered as a well-defined learning task represented using a tuple P, T, and P. So machine learning is a study of algorithm that improves their performance P at some task T with experience E. Okay. So this definition of machine learning may be difficult to digest. So I will explain the concept of machine learning with an example. Do you heard about the movie PK? Anyone? You can
Yes,
actually respond in the chat itself. Do everyone heard about the movie PK? Yes, who is actually PK? PK is actually an alien, right? So PK don't know anything about uh, anything happening in the world. Okay. So just consider you are having a PK with you, okay, and he's on the right side, and you are at the left side, okay. And your duty is to make PK learn about the things happening around the earth, okay. And the first task you are going to make understand by PK is PK should be able to identify a shut. If you are showing an object, PK should be able to identify whether the given object is a shirt or no. Okay. So how can I make PK learn? The first thing I can do is I will show a shirt, a green color shirt, a large, a formal kind of shirt to PK, and I'm telling that PK, this is a shirt we used to wear. Okay, this is a shirt we used to wear. So PK will observe the shirt and he will just have the perception like, okay, for a shirt, the color can be either the color can be green, it should be large, and it should be form. Okay. Now, after this experiment, I'm showing PK another shirt. Okay, another shirt, and they're just asking that PK, is this a shirt? So what will be the response of PK? No, right? Why? Because in PK's perception, the color should be green. But in the given example, the color is red. And the size should be large. And here the shirt is small. And the type should be formal. And here the example is not formal. It's a casual. Okay. So again, I'm telling that PK, this is also a shirt. Okay. So what will happen to PK's mind? PK's mind will change like, or the PK's perception will change like the color for a shirt, the color can be either green or red. The size can be either large or small, and it can be either formal or casual. Okay. So on the next go, I'm giving another yellow color shirt. Definitely PK will say, no, this is not a shirt because the color itself is not matching with green and red, since it is an yellow shirt. Now, again, I am telling that this is also a shirt. Finally, what will happen if if I give as much examples of shirt to PK? What will happen? PK is now able to identify any shirt, right? Any given shirt. So this is exactly what happening in machine learning. What is the task here? Identify whether the given object is a shirt or not, right? And what is the experience here? The experience is nothing but the examples of shirts given to the PK. Okay. And what is the performance here? The correctness in predicting whether the object is shirt or not is the performance. Okay. Now is the definition clear for you? Machine learning can be considered as a well-defined tuple PTE, where P is the performance, T is the task, and E is the experience. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you compare the traditional programming and machine learning, In the case of traditional programming languages or the traditional programming tasks, we exactly know the logic. Okay. And we are converting that logic to algorithms, and then we are moving into, or we are calling it as a program. Okay. So in the case of traditional programming, we know the data and we know the output. Okay. And we exactly know how can we transform this inputs to output. Okay. So we just need to convert that logic to algorithms and then to programs and give the data to that program, we will get the output. But in the case of machine learning, in most of the real-time situations, we may know the inputs and the output. We may know the inputs and the output. But actually, how those inputs are mapped to an output is unknown. Okay. We actually don't know the logic to transform the input to output. So in that case, what we are doing is with the past history, okay, with the past history, we are trying to find out the relationship among the data and the output. Okay, among the data and the output. Then that relationship can be established as a program to predict the future inputs. Okay, so how this is how traditional programming and machine learning are differentiated. And when you look into the entire pipeline of machine learning, it is very much similar to the data science pipeline. We have the raw data, then we are applying pre-processing, we are preparing the data, we are applying the ML model. uh, then we will get a candidate model. That candidate model can be deployed, and we can actually use that model for real-time applications. Okay. So when you look into the backbone of this entire pipeline, it is actually the data. Okay. Now we can say if we are considering the rocket engine as a machine learning algorithm, data is actually the fuel. So they are complementing to each other. Without fuel, a rocket can't launch. And without a rocket, there is no importance for data. Okay, so they are complementing to each other. And when to use machine learning? We have different situations where we can use machine learning. And just think about this wordings like learning is not always useful. There is no need to learn to calculate a payroll. Since machine learning is the new area, don't think that we can apply machine learning everywhere. We need to find out particular cases for applying uh, machine learning. Okay. Then the algorithms exist in machine learning techniques won't work for your proper data. Okay. So the four situations where we can use machine learning is where the places where human expertise does not exist. A situation where human can't explain their expertise. Okay. And in the case of customized models, and the case of data dealing with, sorry, the models dealing with huge amount of data. Okay. And the final part of this session is like we need to understand what are the different types of learning. Okay, what are the different types of learning? So we have three different types of learning, that is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So in the case of supervised learning, we're having the data as well as the labels. Okay, I'm not explaining much about this because in the coming sessions also we are discussing these techniques in detail. I'm just giving the gist of what is a supervised learning. Okay, so we are having the data as well as the output. Here, features are actually the data and labels are actually the output. Okay, so here we are having the data as well as the labels, and we are, after applying supervised learning technique, we are trying to find out a predictor f that maps x to y. That is, we are trying to find out a mapping between x and y. That mapping is actually used as f to minimize the error between y cap y, where y cap equal to f of x. Okay, that is, if you are finding a mapping f, then that f can be used to predict the future inputs, and while predicting that future inputs, the difference between the actual predictions and actual values and the predicted values must be minimum. So as you can see in this example, we have the data, the data of a collection of apples and the data of collection of cupcakes. Okay, and if you give this data to a machine learning model, the machine learning model will understand what are the properties of these two training objects, and it will identify a new object according to the properties of it. Okay, and the major two tasks involved in classification, supervised learning is classification and regression. Classification is nothing but we are mapping the inputs to a certain definite set of outputs. Okay, that is, we are having a set of discrete labels for mapping, like whether it is a spam or not, whether he will fail or not. Okay, and if a given fruit is apple, orange, or lemon. Okay, so in all these cases, we are having definite set of outputs. That case is actually called as classification, and in the case of regression, we are having the continuous values, continuous real values as the output. So instead of mapping to definite set of values, we are simply using numerical values, numerical real values as the output. Okay, so for an example, you will get the idea very simple here. So in the case of regression, if you are predicting the temperature of tomorrow with the weather conditions, temperature of tomorrow with the weather conditions, then it is a regression task, because that temperature value can be between any real number. Okay, and in the case of classification, we are trying to predict whether the given object is the given situation is a cold or hot tomorrow. So here in this example, we had two different classes, like cold or hot. But in the previous example, we are not having two definite set of classes. We are having a range of value that can be mapped. Okay, so is that clear? If I ask you with the details of a student, I am trying to predict whether he will pass the exam or not. With the set of student details, I am trying to predict whether a student will pass the exam or not. What type of task is that? Is it regression or classification?
Classification.
Yeah, it's a classification task, because we are having only two classes, right? And if I'm trying to predict the percentage mark of a student with the properties,
It will be regression.
that will be regression, because we are having a set of real values as the possible outcomes. Okay, so that is what we have to discuss in classification and regression. And in the case of unsupervised learning, the major difference is we are not having the labels. The data is actually unlabeled. So since the data is unlabeled, how can we map the input to output? The output is not present, right? So in that cases, what we are doing is we are trying to find out the relationship among the data. Okay, relationship among the data. So our goal is to construct an analyzer to find the hidden relationship between inputs. And the use is to go group or associate inputs according to their similarity. Okay. So the two techniques we are always used in unsupervised learning is, first one is clustering. Clustering is nothing but we're grouping the elements. Okay, we are grouping the elements into several groups according to the similarity of the properties, similarity of the properties of objects. Okay, so here we can see this is one cluster, this is one cluster, and here also we have a mixed group of objects. After applying clustering, we can see it will be grouped to 3 different. And the other one is association rule mining and items and rule mining. Okay, here what we are doing is we are actually recommending some products to the customers according to their past history. Okay, you may encounter a situation like ഷൂ വാങ്ങിക്കാൻ കടയിൽ പോകുമ്പോൾ ഡെഫിനറ്റ്ലി ഷൂ വാങ്ങിച്ചു കഴിയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് എന്ത് പറയും, ആ സെയിൽസ്മാൻ എന്ന് പറയും സാർ സോക്സ് നോക്കണ്ടേന്ന് പറയാം അല്ലെ. അപ്പൊ നമ്മളിപ്പോ ഒരു ബ്രെഡ് വാങ്ങിക്കാൻ പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു പാലും വാങ്ങിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷൻ ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ജാമും വാങ്ങിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷൻ ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഇൻ ദാറ്റ് വേ സം ഓഫ് ദി ഐറ്റംസ് മേ ബി അസോസിയേറ്റഡ് ടു ഈച്ച് അതർ. ഓക്കെ, അങ്ങനെ അസോസിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന ഐറ്റംസിനെ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാനും ആരെ വാങ്ങിച്ചാലാണ് മറ്റത് കൂടെ വാങ്ങുക എന്ന് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാനും കൂടെ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, അസോസിയേഷൻ റൂൾ മൈനിങ് ഉപയോഗിക്കണം. അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ടിപ്പിക്കൽ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഉള്ളത് നിങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവരും ഫ്ലിപ്കാർട്ടിൽ നിന്നും ആമസോണിൽ നിന്നും ഒക്കെ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് പർച്ചേസ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഒരു സാധനം പർച്ചേസ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ബില്ലിംഗ് പേജിൽ എത്തി കഴിയുമ്പോൾ കാണിക്കും, സോ ഈ ഒരു ഫോൺ വാങ്ങിച്ച ആൾക്കാർക്ക്, ഈ ഒരു ഫോൺ വാങ്ങിച്ച ആളുകൾ ഈ ഒരു ഇന്ന സാധനങ്ങളും കൂടെ വാങ്ങിക്കാറുണ്ട്, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അത് വാങ്ങിക്കാനുള്ള താല്പര്യം ഉണ്ടോ എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ ചോദിക്കാറുണ്ട് അല്ലെ. ഇതിന്റെ വളരെ ഫാസിനേറ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആണ് നമ്മുടെ പുറത്ത് US UK വാൾമാർട്ട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു സൂപ്പർ മാർക്കറ്റ് ചെയിൻ, ഹൈപ്പർ മാർക്കറ്റ് ചെയിൻ ലുലുവിനേക്കാളൊക്കെ വലുതാണ്. സോ ദേ ഫൗണ്ട് ദാറ്റ് പീപ്പിൾ ഹു ബൈ ഡയപ്പേഴ്സ് വിൽ ഓൾസോ ബൈ ബിയർ ബോട്ടിൽ. ഓക്കെ, ബേബി ഡയപ്പേഴ്സ് വാങ്ങിക്കുന്ന എല്ലാവരും തന്നെ ബിയർ ബോട്ടിൽസും വാങ്ങിക്കുന്നു. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ അത് എങ്ങനെയാ അവർ കണ്ടെത്തിയെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, അതിന്റെ പിന്നിലുള്ള റീസൺ എങ്ങനെയാ കണ്ടെത്തിയെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, ഈ സാറ്റർഡേ നൈറ്റ് പാർട്ടീസ് അവിടെ ഉണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, ഈ സാറ്റർഡേ നൈറ്റ് പാർട്ടീസിൽ അവരെ എൻജോയ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് പോകുമ്പോൾ കുട്ടികളെ അവിടെ ഇരുത്തണം. അപ്പൊ അതിനു വേണ്ടിയാണ് അവർ ഡയപ്പേഴ്സ് വാങ്ങിക്കുക. സോ ആ ഡയപ്പേഴ്സിന്റെ കൂട്ടത്തില് ആ പാർട്ടി എൻജോയ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി അവരെന്ത് വാങ്ങിക്കും, ബിയർ ബോട്ടിൽസ് വാങ്ങിക്കും. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള എന്താ പറയാ വളരെ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള റിലേഷൻഷിപ്സ് ഒക്കെ ഐഡന്റിഫൈ ചെയ്തെടുക്കാനായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് അൺസൂപ്പർവൈസ്ഡ് ലേണിംഗ് ടെക്നിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഐറ്റം സെറ്റ് മൈനിങ് ആൻഡ് റൂൾ മൈനിങ് വെച്ചിട്ട് നമുക്ക് പറ്റും. ഓക്കെ, and the last one is reinforcement learning. It is nothing but it's a kind of reward based learning. ഒരു സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ ഏജന്റ് ഉണ്ടാവും. സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ ഏജന്റ് എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് എ പ്രോഗ്രാം. ആ പ്രോഗ്രാം ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ട് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഒരു ടാസ്ക് ലേൺ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് പഠിപ്പിക്കുക. സോ അവിടെ നമ്മൾ എന്താ ചെയ്യുന്നത് വെച്ചാൽ ഒരു റോ ഇൻപുട്ട് ഉണ്ടാവും. വി വിൽ ആക്ച്വലി give instructions to the software program and it will choose an output, and according to the environment the output ശരിയാണോ അല്ലയോ എന്ന് പറയും. Okay, then after several iterations the software agent will be able to do the task in a proper way. Okay, so ഇത് നമ്മൾ ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കുട്ടികളെയൊക്കെ ട്രെയിൻ ചെയ്യിക്കുന്നത് എങ്ങനെയാണ്, കുട്ടികൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും നല്ല കാര്യം ചെയ്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ ക്ലാപ്പ് ചെയ്യും. അപ്പൊ അവനത് വീണ്ടും വീണ്ടും ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ആകും. ചീത്ത എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെയ്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ ഒരു അടി കൊടുക്കുക, വഴക്കുറയൊക്കെ ചെയ്യാം അല്ലെ. അപ്പൊ അവനത് ചെയ്യാതിരിക്കും. സെയിം വേ തന്നെയാണ് ഗുഡ് ടോക്കൺസ് കിട്ടുന്നതോറും അതേ കാര്യം ഈ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ ഏജന്റ് റിപ്പീറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ട് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കാൻ നോക്കും. ബാഡ് ടോക്കൺസ് കിട്ടുമ്പോൾ വേറെ ഓൾട്ടർനേറ്റീവ് അനുസരിച്ച് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് നോക്കും. ഓക്കെ, ആൻഡ് ദ ലാസ്റ്റ് വൺ, ഈ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞ മൂന്നെണ്ണം അല്ലാതെ ഒരു കേസ് കൂടി ഉണ്ട്, സെമി സൂപ്പർവൈസ്ഡ് ലേണിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയും. ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് നത്തിങ് ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ കോമ്പിനേഷൻ ഓഫ് സൂപ്പർവൈസ്ഡ് ആൻഡ് അൺസൂപ്പർവൈസ്ഡ് ലേണിംഗ്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ സൂപ്പർവൈസ്ഡ് ആകുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് എന്ത് വേണം, ലേബിൾഡ് ഡേറ്റ വേണം അല്ലെ. അപ്പൊ മോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ കേസസ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യും, നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിലുള്ള ഡേറ്റ ഒന്നും ലേബിൾഡ് ആയിരിക്കില്ല. സോ വാട്ട് വി ആർ ഡൂയിങ് ഈസ് വി വിൽ മാനുവലി ലേബിൾ ദ ഡേറ്റ. കുറച്ച് ഡേറ്റ എടുത്തിട്ട് ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു 10,000 ഒബ്സർവേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ അതിനകത്ത് നിന്ന് ഒരു 100 ഒബ്സർവേഷൻസ് ഒക്കെ എടുത്ത് മാനുവലി ലേബിൾ ചെയ്യും. ഓക്കെ, ആ മാനുവലി ലേബിൾ ചെയ്തതിനു ശേഷം ആ ലേബിൾ ചെയ്ത ഡേറ്റ വെച്ചിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ഒരു മെഷീൻ ലേണിംഗ് മോഡൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കും. ദെൻ മെഷീൻ ലേണിംഗ് മോഡൽ ക്യാൻ ബി ഫർദർ യൂസ്ഡ് ടു label the unlabeled data. So we will get a complete labeled data and then we are giving it into classifier. Okay. എന്ത് മെഷീൻ ലേണിംഗ് ആണോ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് അത് വെച്ചിട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. സോ ഇവിടെ നിന്നൊരു eagle eye വ്യൂവിൽ നോക്കിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ we have done some kind of supervised learning technique without having a labeled data. Okay. അപ്പൊ അവിടെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇതിനെ സെമി സൂപ്പർവൈസ്ഡ് ലേണിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Okay. And I would like to show you some videos. Please watch these videos. Just identify what type of task is actually involved in it. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So can anyone tell what type of task is this? Okay, what is this?
Classification.
Yeah, it's a classification task. It's a supervised learning technique. A classification task. എന്താണ് ഇവിടെ classify ചെയ്യുന്നത് actually?
Whether the person wearing mask or not.
Mask or not. Yes, exactly. And the next one is C എന്തായിരിക്കും ഇവിടുത്തെ? എന്ത് ടാസ്ക് ആണ് ഇവിടെ പെർഫോം ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്? എന്ത് ടാസ്ക് ആയിരിക്കും വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടാവുക? That's a clustering technique actually. We are grouping the shapes according to their similarity. Okay. And the last one is so this is a game called tic-tac-toe. Here the player is actually the one is bot and the other one is me. So here you identified any technique. This example had two different techniques. First one is the logic behind the chatbot, so the opponent is actually reinforcement learning, and which is called as a min-max algorithm. And the other example is on drawing that shape 0 and x, we need to identify whether it is 0 or not. Okay. So in that case, we are using a classification technique. Okay. So that's all for an introduction for machine learning. Now we are moving to the basics of Python programming. How many of you are familiar with Python? Can anyone please put an S on the chat box if you're familiar with Python. Okay. So we can now have the basic concepts of Python, and that is taken by Jafsir. So I'm handing over. I'm handovering the session to Jafsir. Just we can have a 5 minutes break. Okay.
Thank you, Sean, for the informative session.
Meantime, if you have any questions regarding the previous section, you can ask. Any doubts or something, you can ask.
Sir, can we start the session now? And are you there?
Hello. 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 Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
സ്ക്രീൻ കാണുന്നില്ലേ?
കാണുന്നുണ്ട്.
Let's start the Python for machine learning. In this section, we will cover the introduction to Python, Python development tools, just installation and package managers, and the Python language fundamentals like basic data types, operators, string operators, control structures, containers, functions, and classes. We know that Python is widely used general purpose and high-level programming languages. Python used for web designing, scripting, and basically, especially for data science, including machine learning, data analysis, and data visualization, etc. And there are mainly two versions of Python, Python 2 and Python 3. So most of people now using the Python 3 version. We can install Python in Windows, Mac, and Linux OS. We can download the Python installer for Windows using this link. For Linux, most of the Linux system contain the Pythons. Otherwise, we can install using the this commands. And machine learning installations, Anaconda, mainly Anaconda and Miniconda. Anaconda is large size, about 3 GB. It contains about 700 packages. So if your systems are a very small size in RAM or hard disk, we can use Miniconda. In this, we can install most of the packages that we want to use. And also we can install many packages using pip or pip install or conda install. And also we can create a virtual environment for a particular project. So, and we can use Python using the Google Colab. Do you know Google Colab? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now our workshop will work in Google Colab. And Python also have several IDEs like PyJam, Jupyter Notebook, Visual Studio, Vim, etc. Python is a very simple programming language. I think it's very easier than C or CPP or Java. Let's start the programming using Google Colab. Can you open the Google Colab window? Just browse the Google Colab. 1 minute. Can you see the screen? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We can take a new notebook. Okay. Just type range. Hello world. And run. Okay. Hello world. എല്ലാവരും ചെയ്ത് നോക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
Yes, sir.
ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ? കൂടെ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ?
ഉണ്ട്, sir.
Okay. ആരെങ്കിലും സ്റ്റക്ക് ആയി നിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഗൂഗിൾ കൊലാബ് ഓപ്പൺ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റാതെ? And the basic data types. In Python, we don't need to specify or declare the data types, like say int a or float a or string char a. Just assign a particular value into a variable. The Python automatically take the data types. For example, a equal to 5. We can print the value of a and the type of a. For example, a equal to 5. Print a. We get the value 5. What is the type of a? Type of passes int. Okay. If you give a value for point value 1.5, the value should be float type. If you give a string value like hello, the type will change into string. Or if you give any Boolean values like true or false, the type will change into Boolean. Or if you give some complex numbers like 5 plus 3, j, etc., the type will change into complex. Just try it. Same and give 1.5. Value change and type will change into float. If you give a string value, value change and type will change into string. Okay. Then we move into arithmetic operations. There are several arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, modulo operations, etc. Let's try something. Equal to 5. Or print minus a. Into b. Division operations. Under division operations b by a. What's the difference between b by a? The division operations, a single slash and a double slash. One is integer division. Here double star b means a power b, a raised to b. Okay. And another operation is modulo operations. These are the basic arithmetic operations. Next is Boolean operations. We can assign Boolean values for variables like a true or false. They should be capital letter. You can also print a Boolean values like less than 7. True. While less than 7 is true. If greater than 7, will be false. And also some logical operations like and, or, and not. You cannot use the symbols, ampersands or symbols in Python programming. We should write and or not instead of symbols. You can change it as p equal to then 7 and q equal to less than 7. Print P and Q. Is false. That is a false and true. Result is false. Then print Q or Q. Q or false or true is true. This is examples for Boolean operations. Then we can discuss some string operations. If you give some values or s equal to hello and u equal to hello, we can give string values using the double quotes or single quotes, and we can concatenate using the plus sign, and we can also add some string or digits or integers using like C programming using the percentage S or percentage D, etc. We can discuss it. So we'll go. Hello. U equal to range range. But let's say if we let's just we can change the value of u. Hello world. So concatenate the values. Print yes. Yes. Just give it space. Hello world. Okay. It's very simple in Python programming, string operation. It's just a length function. Ln of to give 5 allow. There is some another string functions like is string upper then change into the uppercase. Not lower. Another example is hello world. It's just capitalized. At least it works. Another operation is splitting. Splitting the split the operations. You can split the value, split the string, which is a particular character or space. For example, sport, speech, that split the word hello, a sentence hello word as hello and word. You can split it using a particular character. For example, oh, HELL, W, and RLD. Okay. Another operation is replace. And replace. Become B. These are some basic operations using strings. And you can also find a word or character in a string using the find operations. Next is control structures. Python also have control structures like if else, or elif else, etc. Here, for example, if number greater than 99 and number less than 1000, print 3 digits, else print not 3 digits. Okay. Yes. Next also, 99, and it's a logical operations and n less than 1000. We should keep the column at the end, and we should have an intent. Means digit. else else and so 1, 2, 3. The number is 3 digits. You give it 1, 2. Number is not a 3-digit number. Okay. We should take care of the column at the end of the if loop and indent. If we don't give an indent, it will give an error message. For example, okay. So we should take care of the indent and the ഹലോ ഹലോ
Yes, sir.
അതായത് സ്ക്രീൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല, ഹോസ്റ്റ് ഡിസേബിൾ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, അതൊന്ന് കറക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യും.
Yes, sir. Okay.
ആ ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ. എനിക്ക് കണക്ഷൻ ഇഷ്യൂ ഉണ്ട് തോന്നുന്നു. നിങ്ങൾ റൺ ചെയ്ത് കിട്ടിയത്? ഹലോ
കിട്ടിയായിരുന്നു, sir.
കിട്ടിയിരുന്നല്ലേ? ഓക്കെ. നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇസ് എലീഫ്. നമ്മൾ സിയിലൊക്കെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് എൽസീഫ് ആണ്, പകരം ഇവിടെ എലീഫ് ആണ് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കേണ്ടത്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ കീബോർഡിൽ നിന്ന് ഡാറ്റ റീഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് ഇൻപുട്ട് ഫംഗ്ഷൻ. ഇൻപുട്ട് ഓഫ് നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യാനൊന്ന് ട്രൈ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കട്ടെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. Just try this program. Elif program. Response equal to input of string കൊടുക്കുന്നു. If response dot upper case. നമ്മൾ കൊടുക്കുന്ന വാല്യൂ അപ്പർ കേസ് ലോവർ കേസ് ഏതായിക്കോട്ടെ അത് നമ്മൾ അപ്പർ കേസിലേക്ക് കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു. If is yes, then print. You can skip this course. ഒന്ന് ട്രൈ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കട്ടെ. are familiar with Python. Sorry, up. You give capital Y, E, S. No. You are at the right place. Capital N responded to O. Capital N and capital. Okay. This is the element. Next is loop. Next is loop. You can use for loop and while loop. For example, for loop for x in range is a function inbuilt range is a inbuilt function in Python. Yes. Index. You will give the values from 0 to 9. Okay. If you want to print the 1 to 11, we can change it as okay, 1 to 10. I think time is over, so we can discuss the loop, for loop, while loop, and the containers tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Sas, for an enlightening session. Participants, kindly note, tomorrow's session will begin at 3 p.m. Kindly fill the feedback form before leaving. Feedback link is provided in the chat box. Thank you all.
Okay, 1 minute. Leave a letter.
Hello. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shailesh here. We will share the slides today.
Okay, sir.
So you can try out at your end more experiments with this. And we can continue from the next topic by tomorrow. Tomorrow, me and Santosh sir will be handling the session.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for the input. Thank you.
Thank you.